Hey folks, welcome back to the You Want Pizzazz channel. Today you're going to be learning how to create a simple cartoon truck animation in After Effects. Let's get started. So not only will we be creating the truck from scratch, but we will be learning how to animate it. I will be providing a free MOV file and the After Effects file for you to download in the description below. You are free to use it in whatever project you want, but if you want to learn how to do it from scratch, follow along. We're going to start off by creating a new composition. We're going to make it 1920 by 1080, match the frame rate to the video that you want. I'm going to just make it 30 frames per second. I'm just going to make the duration 10 seconds. You can make it whatever you want based on how long you need it for, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to make it 10 seconds and press OK. So a couple things that you need to download. I have a color palette and the smoke PNG file, which you can download in the description below. I'm going to go ahead and just drag that into the project file. Great. Now I'm going to just double click the color palette so that it just shows up here so we can keep going back to it. You do not have to follow this color palette exactly. This is the color palette I'm using for my truck, but feel free to adjust the colors accordingly. We're going to make the background this blue color. I'm just going to copy this code here. Then we're going to go into our composition. I'm going to name the composition main comp. I'm going to right click in here, go to new, solid, and just paste the code into here and press OK. And there we go, we've got a background. Now we are going to create the base of the truck. Let's start off by going to our color palette and grabbing this bright red. We're going to copy this code, go back to the composition, then we're going to click this pen tool, and then we're going to make sure that the stroke is on none. We're going to change the fill color to that red and press OK. So now I'm going to start creating my truck. I'm going to click a point, hold down Shift on my keyboard, and then drag to over here. And then I'm going to make another point around here and just drag it out because I want to add a bit of a curve here. And then we're going to add a slant for the next point. Then on an angle, go down a bit, hold and drag to add a bit of a curve here. And then we're going to go here and then hold down that curve. And then we're going to hold down Shift to create another straight line and go to about here. And then I'm going to continue holding down Shift and I'm going to go here. I'm just going to click this point and just use my arrow to line it up. Perfect. And then I'm going to just click here to end the point. So you can go ahead and manually adjust these points to fix it up a little bit, but this is the basic truck shape. I'm going to right click the layer, go to rename, and I'm going to call it truck shape. Now that we got the basic truck shape, we are going to start adding things to it. I think the first thing I want to add is some shading. You can see in the picture that I have shading up here and then at the bottom here and then some lines. So we're going to do that as well. We're going to take this layer and we're going to duplicate it. And we can do that by hitting Command C and Command V on my keyboard. For PC users, that is Control C, Control V. I'm going to rename this file as truck shape matte. And then I'm going to take my rectangle tool here. And we're going to go into the color palette and we're going to grab this dark red. Again, we're going to copy this code, go back to the main comp, and then we're going to drag over the top here. Ooh, my color did not stick there. Let me just change that to this dark red. Perfect. We want this mask to be clipped to the base of the truck. So luckily we made the shape matte. We're going to drag this layer down into the middle of these two layers. And then we're going to go to track matte, alpha matte. Now anything we make on this layer will be clipped to this base layer. So with this layer selected, we can keep adding stuff. I'm going to add a bottom layer here, and I'm just holding down space bar to just move it around. And then I'm gonna add 2 small thin layers here as the lines. Now, if you want to see these layers, you can just open up layer 1 and you can see that all these layers are right here. I might actually delete this one and do another one because it's a bit too thick. Cool, that looks great. We're going to add some wheel marks now. Because it's a different color, we will have to make another truck shape matte. So I'm going to just copy and paste this layer. And truck matte 2, that's fine. We're going to now hold down this rectangle tool and we're gonna go to ellipses tool. And we're going to go to our color palette and we're gonna pick this blue and grab this color code here. And go back, and then we're gonna select the ellipses tool and make sure that the fill is the exact same color. So I'm going to hold down my shift and I'm gonna drag to create a perfect circle. I think around here is okay. I'm going to take my ellipses tool, hold down shift and drag to create another circle, and I'm gonna just place it right on top so that it is the exact same size here. Perfect. In the shape layer, you can open up the ellipses 2 layer, open up the path, and then just move the position to the side. I think around here is okay. I might move the first one back a little bit. We are going to clip these wheel shapes to the truck itself. So I'm just gonna drag this underneath. We're gonna go to track matte, alpha matte, truck shape matte 2, and then it is clipped to the mask. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to just name these layers here so that we don't get confused. So I'm going to call this truck shading, and then call this wheel shading. Okay, so now we're going to add things like windows, door handles, and the exhaust pipe right here. So make sure we are not selecting any layers, and we're gonna start creating some more stuff. Let's start with the exhaust pipe. We're gonna go to our rounded rectangle tool. We're gonna change the fill color to this dark red. Then I'm gonna just click and drag to make that exhaust pipe. Just like that. And I'm gonna just move that underneath the truck shape. And I'm gonna call it exhaust pipe. We're gonna make a window here. So we're gonna select our pen tool and we're gonna actually get this light blue color here. Copy this code, go back to the main comp, and then we're going to change the fill color to that light blue and press OK. Now we're going to make the shape of the window. So I'm gonna click on the screen, hold down shift to make a straight line, and click again. I'm gonna make it a bit of a slant to match that slant right here. Just like that, and then I'm gonna hold down shift again. I'm just gonna zoom in to see how we're looking here. You can select the points and kind of use your arrow key to just shift it into place. But I think that looks fine. So that's just a basic window. I'm gonna rename it to window. And then we're gonna add a window shading. We're gonna duplicate this window layer by hitting Command C, Command V. I'm gonna rename this layer window matte. And then we are going to change the fill layer to this dark blue and make sure that your pen tool is selected, and we're gonna just create a slant here. Just adjust the points like this. We're just gonna close it up like that. And then we're gonna drag this shape layer in between, and we're going to alpha matte it. Perfect. So now it has been clipped to this window, and I'm gonna call this window shading. All right, this is looking like a truck. We're gonna add a little door handle here. So we are going to click our rounded rectangle tool here. We're gonna change the fill layer to this light blue. And then we're going to click and drag a little door handle. And again, you can hold down space to move it around. Here is good. The last thing we have to build are the wheels. So we are going to hold down the rounded rectangle tool and go to ellipses. And then we're going to grab this dark gray color and copy that code. Copy it there. And then we're going to hold down shift and we're going to make a perfect circle. We're just going to make the wheel really big and then shrink it down. So like that. Make sure that the anchor point's in the middle here. Let's actually rename these layers. So this is a door handle. And then this is the wheel background. Perfect. We're going to keep with the ellipses tool, but we're going to actually get rid of the fill. And we're going to add a stroke. And we want that stroke color to be this light gray. So I'm gonna paste it here. And then let's try 7 pixels, but we might have to adjust that. So hold down shift and drag to about here. And I'm gonna just thicken the stroke a bit. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna use my arrows to just move around this circle until I think it's right in the dead center. I think here is okay. I'm gonna call this gray ring. We're gonna click out and then we're gonna make another circle, and this one's gonna be a white one. So we're going to change the fill to a white, and we're gonna get rid of the stroke. And then we're going to hold down shift, click and drag, and we're going to make it perfectly in this gray circle here. And then we're going to move it underneath the gray ring and rename it to white circle. We're going to make another circle because there's a lot of circles when you're making wheels. We're going to make it this dark gray. We're going to hold down shift and we're going to make a circle here in the middle. I think around here is good. Might just slide it around just to get it perfect here. Now the last thing we want to do is add the 4 dots around the rim here. You can make as many dots as you want, but because I'm lazy, we're gonna make it 4 dots. So we're gonna start off by just holding down shift and clicking and dragging a small little circle here. I'm gonna call this dot 1. And then I'm gonna actually just copy and paste this layer to make another dot. I'm gonna hit P on my keyboard and shift this down to around here. I'm gonna duplicate it again and then move the dot up and then to the left. And then we're gonna duplicate it again and move the dot to the right. Just like that. This will be helpful when we're actually animating the wheels because you'll see that it's turning. The wheel is done. Lots of work, but the wheel is done. We are going to pre-comp this wheel, and we're going to do that by selecting this first layer here, holding down shift, and then clicking wheel background to select all of the wheel assets. We're going to right click, pre-compose, and then move all attributes into the new composition. That's fine. And I'm going to call this wheel and press OK. So looky, we have a wheel. It's all together in one comp, so we don't have to deal with all those messy layers here. We're going to hit S on our keyboard to scale it down. And then I'm just going to move this right here. I might make it a little bigger. Your wheel, your way. There is fine. And I'm going to just copy this wheel. I'm gonna drag it over to the right. So now we got 2 wheels. So we have completely built the truck. That part is over. I think the next step is to animate the wheels. So we're going to select both of these wheels. We're going to hit R to open up the rotation settings. And then we're going to make a keyframe here. And then move over a bit and make another keyframe. Let's start with 5 to see how that looks. And I'm going to move these keyframes to the end. I think I'm pretty happy with that. If you want the wheels to turn faster, obviously make it more. And if you want them to turn slower, make it less. But we're gonna stick with 5 for now. Now let's make smoke come out of this exhaust pipe. So remember that smoke PNG that I got you to download? We're gonna go ahead and drag this on screen. I'm gonna put it behind the exhaust pipe. Ooh, it's pretty big. And I'm going to hit S on my keyboard to shrink it down. And I'm just gonna move this over here. Let's scale it up a little bit more. So now we want to animate this smoke. We can do that by creating a mask on top of the smoke. So we're going to hold down the ellipses tool and we're gonna make it a rectangle. And then I'm gonna make a mask that goes over the smoke like this. I'm going to open up the mask settings in the smoke layer. I'm gonna hit V on my keyboard, and then I'm gonna move this over so that it's completely off the smoke. And then we're gonna make a keyframe. Then I'm gonna move this playhead over, and I'm gonna, select the mask path again, and I'm gonna drag this across. So we're just making a little animation here, so it goes like this. But we're gonna make it a little more smooth by feathering it out. Okay. And then as soon as it's fully animated, we're going to just dissolve it out. And we're gonna do that by hitting T on our keyboard. We're gonna make a keyframe. We're gonna move this over and then make the keyframe 0. If you want to see all the keyframes on one layer, you hit U on your keyboard to see it. And let's see how this looks. This is going a little slow, so I'm gonna just drag these keyframes in a bit. That looks pretty good. Now we need to animate this so that it will repeat. We're going to drag the playhead to about here so that it has a bit of a pause. And then we're gonna hit Command-Shift-D to cut the layer in half. For PC users, that is Control-Shift-D. I'm going to delete the second half. And then I'm going to right-click the smoke layer, go to Pre-Compose, and then make sure the Move All Attributes into the new composition is selected. And I'm gonna change this to Smoke Comp and press OK. Now, I'm going to right-click this layer, go to Time, Enable Time Remapping. We're going to zoom in and we're just going to shift over by 1 keyframe. And we can do that by holding down Command and hitting the left arrow. And then for PC users, that is Control, left arrow. We're going to make a keyframe here and delete the second keyframe. This may seem complicated, but this will allow us to repeat the layer successfully. Now the final step is to hold down Option on your keyboard. For PC users, this is Alt, and clicking this stopwatch. We're going to click this little arrow here, then go to Property, and then Loop Out Duration. We can go ahead and click out of this. And now, this smoke should repeat. This will keep repeating for as long as your composition is. We're gonna have the rest of the truck bumping up and down to show that it's moving. So how are we gonna do that? Well, we're going to highlight these layers. We're gonna right click, Pre-Compose, and we're gonna call this Truck Comp. And then we're going to move the layer up and down. So we're gonna hit P on our keyboard, make a keyframe. We're gonna slide over, we're gonna move it up slightly, not too obvious. And then we're gonna copy this first keyframe over here. So even that might be too much. I'm gonna go back to the second keyframe and bring it down a little bit, because we want it to be subtle, right? I'm gonna highlight these keyframes, hold down Option, and just drag it out to drag out the animation. For PC users, that is holding down Alt and dragging it out. Maybe drag it in a bit. Now, just like what we did to the exhaust pipe, we are going to loop this composition. So we're gonna cut this in half by holding down Command-Shift-D. We're gonna delete this. We're gonna right-click the layer, go to Pre-Compose, and we're gonna call this Truck Comp 2 and press OK. We're gonna right-click the comp, go to Time, enable time remapping, and then we're gonna hold down Command and click one left arrow to move it over by one keyframe. We're gonna make a keyframe and delete the second layer. And then finally, we're gonna hold down Option and click this little compass. Click this arrow, go to Property, loop out duration, and this layer should loop as well. And that's pretty much it, folks. Again, you can download this exact After Effects file in the description below, as well as a video file that you can use in your projects for free. Thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the You Want Pizzazz channel for more videos. Are there other animations that you want to learn? Let me know in the comments below. Have a good one, folks.